The new Google Veo 3 video model is changing marketing forever, but you probably already knew that. I mean, look at the number of views that this model is just producing on TikTok alone. But recently, Google Veo 3 came out with an API, and I used that API to build the ultimate viral content AI engine that can produce unlimited amounts of content for any type of business and runs 24/7. After I built this agent workflow, I had a bunch of leads that I knew would absolutely love this, and I already sold 2 of them for $3,000 each. And if they're impressed after the first month of this automation flow and the results that it's producing for their businesses, they're gonna pay me an additional $1,500 a month in retainers. And in this video, guys, I'm going to build this entire workflow from scratch so you guys can start selling to clients in the exact same way. This is the most exciting time in terms of vibe marketing because what I'm about to show you guys is literally ridiculous. And so there's 2 automation flows that I'm going to show you guys, and I'm going to show you guys how it maps to a front end, because when I sell this to clients, I only really show them this page here because that's what they're going to be interacting with. But let me show you guys how each agent automation flows. So the first flow that we have here, guys, is an automated flow that has 1 month worth of viral content ideas. And so let's say that this flow was for an e-commerce brand. We stored the Google Sheets here with viral content ideas that the Veo 3 model will then produce. Once the video is produced, it'll go through this workflow and get stored in the database so that the client can actually approve the video. And so what you're seeing here are 2 examples. And the example I'm talking about is the one where they have the option to upload the video to all social platforms. Now let's talk about the second workflow, where the videos are being uploaded automatically. So in this workflow, it runs at the same schedule every single day, just like the first automation, but the only difference here is that the video is actually being uploaded to the social platforms as well autonomously. In this example, guys, I have a Google Sheets already preloaded with a content idea. And so the content idea here is a Bigfoot giant from the North Pole, and he's talking about 3 AI agents that are selling on his behalf. And so that's our prompt. We can obviously improve upon the prompt over time, but that's what we're going to use in this workflow right here. And I'm just going to click run once. So the increment function pulls the individual row that has the specific script in the database. And that's why we have that in the first step, because we have a whole bunch of different videos that we want to produce over time. So it's grabbing the ideas, and it's also grabbing the captions that we're going to use when we're uploading the video actually to social media. And so now the video has actually been sent to the model here. We can see that the status is in the queue, and you guys are going to get this entire automation in the No Code Academy, so you can just download it. But basically what's happening here, guys, is the API has to actually create the video. And so we can't ask for the video back yet until it's actually produced. And so we add this sleep module here to actually put the automation to sleep. But if we look inside of the parse JSON step here, guys, we can see that in the response, we're actually going to get the URL of the finished video. But since the status is still in queue, this URL won't actually show us anything yet. And so once the video finishes up here, I'll explain what happens next. All right, guys, so the automation finished up here, and we can zoom in the database out input, and we can see that the video URL is done, and we have the description as test and the title as test. And so if we head back to our agent dashboard, which is what we use to actually sell our clients the end result, we can see here in the database, if we hit refresh, we now have 3 different video sources. And so this new video source, when we refresh the front end page as well, it should display that video. And so I just refreshed the page, and now we have that end video of that Bigfoot giant that we just spoke about. And so here we can open this up and play it for a sec.
So I got 3 AI agents working for me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. And that frees me up to eat polar bears all day.
Bro, that's crazy, guys. That's crazy. And so the workflow is completely done for that first use case. And in the other use case I show you guys here is that the video already got uploaded. And so what we can also store is the IDs from the social platforms like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn to actually get the analytics. And so when we're getting these analytics, we can also just track and improve upon the copywriting of the videos that we're producing. And so this thing can just keep getting better and better and better for the client, because all we really have to do is focus on the copywriting. And so everything else can be automated. And I really recommend, as the human, you should just worry on what is actually going to sell. And so I will test this created, for example, for my No Code Academy to funnel people in there. And I would just do that for an entire month. And then I can use those results as proof of the system working. And so when the system's fully built, guys, you can actually set this thing to run every single day, and it'll go through all of the different rows in the Google Sheets. Now let's build this together. How about that? All right, guys, so here's how the build's gonna go. We're gonna download the blueprint, open the scenario. We're then going to build out some content ideas in the Google Sheets with captions. We're then gonna go get our Veo 3 API so we can actually start making the requests to generate the videos. And then we're gonna connect all of the dots together in a workflow. We're gonna then test the automation until it starts working. Once it starts working, guys, we turn it into a demo. And we do that by actually building it SaaS on Replit, and we map the data from the results to the Replit database. Once the video results are in the Replit database, we can then build a generated videos page just like we did right here. And what we're going to do to finish off is we're going to map the final videos that we make in this video to that working demo. That's going to allow you guys to start selling this system ASAP. So step number one, let's go get that blueprint, baby. Quickly head into the No Code Academy, and we're just gonna quickly grab this autonomous workflow here. We're gonna download this blueprint, and then we're gonna head back to make.com. Okay, awesome. Now we're gonna click create a new scenario in the top right, and then the three dots at the bottom allows us to import that blueprint. We're gonna go and choose that file, and we're gonna click open and save. So now we have every step in the flow, but we actually have to configure everything. And so the first thing I want to explain is the increment function again. So this is going to just increase by 1 every time that the automation runs. What that allows us to do is then say, whatever number that the increment function gives us needs to be the same row that we get from the Google Sheets. Because we're gonna, let's say, put 30 rows worth of video content to be produced. So every single day when this thing runs, that number increases by 1, so it pulls a new row every single day. What we have to do next, guys, is actually set up our Google Sheets. And so you're gonna have it like this already set up. We set a filter so that it's looking for the exact same number that comes from the increment function. So that's already gonna be built in for you guys. So what we have to do is actually head to Google Sheets. We're just gonna open up a blank spreadsheet. Now you guys are gonna be able to optimize this the way that I'm showing you right here, but we're just gonna write numbers 1 through 10 on the A column, and then we're gonna write the video idea. Right? So this video idea should actually be the video prompt that's going to be sent to the Veo 3 model. Now you guys can come up with the prompt yourself. You can come up with the video idea yourself, send it to AI, do a combination of both, whatever the case may be. The way that I would do this, guys, is I would actually spend the time to create the video idea prompts myself, because then I can scale up and evolve over time, because these videos are going to consistently be uploading. And so the real skill that I'm going to have to develop here is the video idea prompt. Because if I can become a really good video idea prompter, then that is the variable that will get me ahead of everyone else, not the volume of content that I'm producing. And so yeah, that would be video idea. Then we can also work on caption. Now this is something that could be automated by AI because the caption's not really that important. And for some platforms, you also need a title. So if we're gonna be automatically uploading this, platforms like YouTube and Twitter and LinkedIn, I think they need titles. And so that's one more variable that we need. But to start, guys, that should be good. And so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna come up with some random ideas. So, okay, here's a great example. So I used to run a Tapestry hoodie brand, and that Tapestry hoodie brand was like $100 in profit every time we made a sale. And so if I can get more views on that Tapestry hoodie, I can probably close more sales. And so I'm going to create a TV channel basically of a Bigfoot character that is just going to talk about the Tapestry hoodies that he's been buying for his friends and how like grateful that they felt like when he gave it to them. And then we can overlay that with B-roll of the actual hoodies and stuff and call to actions with the clothing. So that's like one quick example. So let's just say a Bigfoot character in the jungle talking from the first person perspective. You guys are gonna have this docs in the academy, but this is the stuff that the AI really wants to look for when you're sending in that prompt. So the context, like the background and setting. So let's start off with the background and setting in this prompt. So we got a Bigfoot character in the jungle. So we have this setting in the background. Now, what is he doing, right? So let's just say about to drink a smoothie. So then the next one would be the film style, vlogger, YouTuber style. The camera motion is next. So camera motion as natural and shaking. Composition. This is a close up of the Bigfoot. It is nighttime and dark, and we can then, put in our caption and all that fun stuff too. And in case we want to just test the workflow, like we can just put this into all the other rows until we're satisfied with the output and the actual flow of the automation. And then we can make the prompting better from there. And so you guys can also say the dimensions of the video. So most likely we're going to be creating vertical portrait videos because it can only create up to 8 seconds right now. And so if you want to make longer form videos, you would have to create multiple Veo 3 prompts, and Veo 3 right now is quite expensive through the API. So that's not something I really recommend. Right now, I would just focus on creating one specific scene that has a small little story that goes viral for whatever offer that you or your clients are selling. Yeah, I think that's good enough. We have now 7 rows to test this out. And so we're going to check off the first couple of steps in the flow. So we downloaded the blueprint, opened the scenario, we built out the idea in the Google Sheets, and now we have to get the API from fal.ai. So we're going to head over to fal.ai really quick. And here on the left-hand side, we see the Veo 3. It's also going to be linked down below, and we can see the setup of it. So here is if you wanted to ever test it manually before actually building the API to actually see the quality of Veo 3, you could do that right here. So you could just send in a simple prompt in their playground. But if we head over to the API, it'll actually explain how to set everything up, just like how I explained it to you guys. Now, we just need to get a couple of things. So we need to go get our API key first. So if we look in the top right-hand corner here and we go to our account and we click API keys, you guys will see you'll be able to create an API key. So that's the first thing that we need. I want you guys to create that, store it somewhere safe, and then we'll move on to the next step. Now, the next step, guys, is actually knowing how to make the API call through make.com, through Replit, through any other builder that you guys want. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at the actual requests. And so when we click requests, we can see like the stuff that we've been working on as well. And so we can actually look at the input and output values. And so here in the output values, we can see like the video URL that we can get to download. But the first thing that we need to look for, the URL to actually make the API call. And so in the docs, guys, you get to choose which coding language you're going to set this up in. And when you're setting up on Make or N8N, you want to click the HTTP or CURL option, because that is the language that is set up on those platforms. And then that'll give you the example that we can use to actually set this up. So the first thing we need is the URL. So right here, we have the URL of the Veo 3 model. So now we can start connecting all of the pieces of this flow to actually get it to work. And then once it starts working at the download video step, we will then start a brand new Replit app, and this app will actually store and present this flow to our clients as a demo. What you have to do next is go to the Google Sheets, and in the top right-hand corner, it says private to only me. You just want to click on that, and you want to change it from restricted to anyone with the link. The next thing we want to do is go and grab the actual ID that is the Google Sheets unique ID. And so you would copy it, and then we can head over to make.com to actually set up the Google Sheets in this step. So if I was doing this from scratch, I would click add, and then I would do that all here manually, and I would add in that sheet ID. Here it was already able to identify that for me as well, so we were good to go. The next one is actually setting up the Veo 3 API. And so we're gonna paste in that URL that we found in the docs. And so if we head back to the docs, I'll show you that one more time. It's this URL right here that we're gonna be copying and pasting into the URL. Now, this is a request to do something. So that is a post request. We're posting a request to their platform to actually create a function. Now, the next things here, guys, are the headers. And these are, again, in the exact same doc location that we found the URL. So if we head back to fal.ai's docs, we can see here in the headers, we need to add authorization and the key for fal.ai. The next thing we need to do is add in the content type as the header, and the content type is going to be a JSON content type. After that, we can actually start setting up our prompts. And so we're going to do all of that right now. We're going to head to make with the authorization first. And then we would paste in that authorization. And then we would get rid of all the other surrounding stuff. And then you guys would leave the key variable, and you would paste in that API key that you guys saved. Now for the body, we want to leave it as raw. And for the JSON type, we want to, again, select JSON application /JSON. And for the request content, you guys are going to have this again, but this is a great way for you guys to see how everything's working, is that it's going to pull from the ideas row in the Google Sheets. And so in this example, it will pull from the video ideas row in the Google Sheets when we're running. And specifically, it'll pull row 3. So it'll pull this specific prompt that will then be used in the video generation. From there, guys, we can click save, and then we're going to parse the JSON because we need to parse the JSON to actually download the output. Because to download the output, we actually need to get the response URL, which is included in the response here, but it's in a very messy JSON string. And what the parse JSON does is that it just cleans it up. And so when you guys are first running this, you actually can just unlink this step here and run it all the way up until the let model produce video step, because you're going to be setting up or integrating this automation step by step. You first have to do the Google Sheets, then you'll click run once to see if the Google Sheets is getting that information. Then once that's connected, you want to see if the Veo3 API is being called. And then once that's working, we can then start parsing the JSON, then putting the automation to sleep, downloading the output, and actually getting it stored in the database. Guys, it's set up now, but we're gonna have to run this automation twice for it to actually be finalized, because we need to build the database after the first part of the automation is working. So the first checkpoint we're looking for is the download video output to be working, and then we're gonna hop into Replit. So we're actually kind of close to finishing this workflow, but first we need to actually iterate through this. And the unfortunate thing about Google Veo 3 is that it's quite expensive. Now in reality, it doesn't really matter because the videos are going super viral right now and the ROI is still very, very obvious, but it is quite annoying when you guys are testing this. So you have to be very cautious compared to most other models that are a lot cheaper. And so anyways, we're just going to head back to that flow here, guys. And so we're just going to click run once and we're going to see what happens. So it looks like the video was actually sent in. We can see that it is in queue. And before we actually check what happens with the download video output, we can actually see on the back end if it's actually working. And so on the file website here, we're going to go and head over to Veo 3. We're going to look at the requests and we can see that the automation has no prompt. And so the prompt has not been sent in, and so we need to see why that error occurred. And so if we look here, we can see that when the automation ran, it pulled the increment function of number 1. And if we look in our Google Sheets, the increment function of number 1 doesn't actually have any data. It has the video idea, the caption, the title, but it doesn't have the actual prompt. And so that's where the issue was. And so that's an easy issue because that's supposed to actually happen. And so we can now click stop, force stop. We're going to save the automation one more time and we're going to click run once again. All right, guys, so now it's the iteration process where you have to test and see what's happening. We stored up the credits on Fal AI to run the Veo 3 model. And so we disconnected the database from the flow because we haven't set up the database together. And I want to show you guys how that works. And so this first checkpoint that we're looking for is the download video outputs to be a successful completion. And so we're going to run this once. We're going to see what happens. Now, while this is running, to actually verify that it's working, we need to check the output of the Google Sheets to see what row it's actually using. And so here we can see the actual output is the prompt that you and I built together, where it says a Bigfoot character in the jungle talking from the first person perspective, like a vlogger holding his camera, blah, blah, blah. And we can go over to the back end of Veo 3 to see if the prompt is actually working. And here we can see now it says it's in progress versus the other times it wasn't working because it wasn't pulling the correct row from the database, which is totally fine. And so now we're just going to sit here. We're going to wait for this sleep module to finish, and hopefully the download video output gives us that final video. One more thing to note, guys, is we set this sleep module to sleep for 3 minutes because on average, it takes about 140 seconds to 150 seconds to create these videos. And this is based off of my tests, right? So we know that it's guaranteed to complete in that time frame. And if I mistakenly put it at 1 minute or 2 minutes, then I'd just be wasting my credits because the video wasn't done producing. So that's just something to keep in mind. All right, guys, so just finished up. So that's really, really nice. So now we're going to be able to store this video URL directly in the database and display it to our user. And so now we can start talking about the parse JSON step, which is honestly the most important step of this entire flow, because that's where we actually get the response URL that we can store in the DB. And so now we can actually create that connection. And we also know what the structure that we need to build the database table is, because this is the output structure. We have this status, we have the request ID, and we have the response URL. So let's head back into the Google Sheets build. We can see that we got the Veo 3 API on file. We got the setup We got this setup done. Now we're testing the automation to actually store the data on Replit. And so right now we're going to start the project on Replit. And so let's head over there really quick. Now, if you guys are new to the channel, the reason why I love Replit over all the other no-code builders is because it has so many more integrations. It has integrated database, integrated authentication, integrated servers. It has 2 different AI models, one for massive problems, one for minor UI changes. It's just the best. But in this use case, guys, what we're going to do is we're just going to give it a very simple prompt. We're going to say, I am building a video content machine using the Google Veo 3 API model. I want you to build a dashboard that displays the finished videos and build a database table that can store the following information for the completed videos. And then we're going to, again, go to the parse JSON. We're going to open that up and we're going to copy this response. We're going to head back to Replit and we're just going to paste that in. We can also click improve prompt here and it's just going to make it look a little bit better for the AI to actually understand what we want. And then we're going to click start building. What this is going to do, guys, is it's going to build a database for us, which is what we need to actually make this connection here. And so if I was making a brand new connection for this step, I'll show you guys exactly what you need to do. And that's adding all of these different variables, the host, the port, the database, the user, the password. And if I go to one of my other Replit projects and I show you guys the secrets, I can actually explain this a little bit better. So this is where all of the different secrets will lie that you need to actually copy and paste to make.com. Once you make that connection, then you'll be able to automatically store any data you want in any table. And that's how I'm able to make this full stack of AI agents on one Replit page, because each table in the database has its own automated flow that is just storing the data. And so the exact same thing here is going to happen, and we have it already working for our demo, which is the viral video generator for our No Code Academy and for our AI agency. And so once the Replit builds that out here, it should give us all of those values as well in the secrets. And so that's really what we're waiting for now. We're waiting for the secrets here to actually display all of those different data APIs and different keys that we need. We can also open up the database tab and we can see that the database hasn't even been built yet. And so we just need to wait and we'll be back once that's all done. All right, guys. So the agent is still going to be working on building out the UI for us and the initial build out. But what we're going to do, guys, since the secrets are already here, is we're just going to get this thing started. So we'll open them all up and then we'll open the automation that you and I are building together and we'll add in all of these variables. So the first one you were looking for is PG host. So we're going to head back. We're going to look for PG host, the value, and we're going to go and copy that in. Next one we're going is PG port. So we're going to copy PG port, head back, copy that in. Next one is database. Now it's not the database URL, it's actually the PG database. So we're going to go copy that. Next one is PG user and password. Now, last thing you want to do here, guys, is just turn the encrypt from no to yes. Then you should be good to go. Okay, cool. So here it says new connection. Now we can head back to Replit to see if it's finished building. And we can see it says, I built a video content management dashboard for tracking a Google Veo 3 API video generation jobs with a video studio inspired interface. Okay, pretty cool. So let's see what it has in the UI. All right, so right now the page isn't loading, but that doesn't really matter. We need to see if there's any tables in the database yet, and we can see there's video jobs. That's perfect. So we're gonna use this video jobs to see if we can start storing the database. And while that's happening, we could also send a prompt to the agent here. So we're gonna say, okay, sounds good, showing a blank screen, please fix. And while that's happening, since the database is built, we can now choose that specific table that we want, right? So in the tables dropdown, we can now choose video jobs. So we're gonna choose that and we can start mapping in these values. And so the first value we're gonna do is the ID. And so again, we can use that increment function that fires off the entire flow because that's going to increase by 1 every time. So when the rows are being inserted, they're never gonna be duplicated. Now, the next thing we can do is store that title or caption. So right now, we're just showing you guys the flow to actually make the video, but there's also flows to automatically post and automatically check the analytics. I mean, this is everything that I did when I was building Social Wolf, and that's what basically taught me how to do this. And so here we can also see what the prompt was that generated the video. And so if you wanted to, and just to see how they would evolve, we could send in the idea as well. The status could be ready to upload because the other flow here is already uploaded, so that status will be different. And it also added a whole bunch of other fields that we can use in the future. We don't necessarily need all of them right now. Even the created at, we don't necessarily need. We can tell it to delete it. And the last thing that we do need is the actual video URL. And so here in the response URL is where we're going to paste in that response URL that we're getting from that parse JSON step. And yeah, that should be good for now. So we're gonna click save. And now is the moment of truth, guys, because every one of these runs cost like $4. And so if this doesn't store in the database this time, then we have to go and identify what that error is and fix it and make sure that it works for next time. And so fingers crossed here, but we're gonna click run once. And so the automation seems to be fired off. It grabbed the correct prompt. We're gonna wait for it to produce. While that's happening, guys, we can check on the replit progression. So we can see here that it's fixing the database. It's still working on it though, but now the front end dashboard is working really, really nice. So if this thing actually works, we should be getting the data stored in this project, meaning we can probably display this in the next couple of minutes and have this working demo. So we'll see. All right, guys, so it finalized, and the thing that I didn't want to happen happened is the timestamp error in the input with the time. So we're gonna remove those columns from the database and then we're gonna run it again. But the response from the video did finalize. So everything is working except for it being stored in the database. So we're just going to fix that one little problem. So we're gonna say, can you remove the created at and updated at timestamps in the video underscore jobs table. But guys, the video was produced. So while the agent is working on that, we can see the outputted video. So let's go check it out.
Just found this in the jungle.
Oops, let's let this play.
This is gonna be good. I just found this in the jungle.
All right, solid. Yeah, so pretty decent output. Again, like I wasn't trying to make a really nice prompt, but you guys can just see the quality of Veo 3. Like it's just insane. Like very, very realistic stuff, and the audio is very realistic and basically everything about it. So it does basically out of the box create finalized videos. And so kind of like I was talking about earlier in this build is that you should be trying to optimize this workflow to create entire videos in 8 seconds. So some type of storyline. And so that prompt wasn't the greatest example. Like the Bigfoot in the Arctic was a much better example because it had a little bit of a storyline. It said, hey, the reason why I'm able to hang out in the Arctic tundra is because I have LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook agents, selling on my behalf. And that allows me to just eat polar bears all day. And I think that should crush on the algorithms, to be honest. All right, guys, so it deleted the created at and updated at timestamps. And so we're just gonna run the entire flow one more time. And it should, in this case, actually store everything in the DB. And so we don't actually have to run the Veo 3 model to do this because it already has all of the different stuffs in the previous step. And so we just need to know what we need to store it with. And so it looks like if we were to click run this module only, we need to give it the ideas, the captions, the number in the row, and the response URL. And so let's quickly grab these variables. So the response URL is right here. Grab that and put it in the response. The increment function is found at the beginning. So let's go find the increment function. And that's number 4. So let's grab that and put it in. Now the next one is captions. So let's go find the captions from the Google Sheets right here and paste that in. And then ideas. We're going to go paste in that prompt. And boom. And so now we can see if this is actually going to store it correctly in the DB. So we're going to click OK. And we can see that it still hasn't updated that row. So what we have to do is click this 3 dots at the top. We're going to click refresh form, and that should also update the schema to see that it doesn't have the updated at, created at columns anymore. And so now in this test, it should work. So again, we're going to click save. We're going to run this module only, and we're going to do everything that we just did previously. And we're just going to click save. And so this time the flow worked. It stored the title, the ID, the prompt, and most importantly, the video URL in the database. And so if we go back to the database of the project that we just built out and we refresh it, we now see that we have it stored. And so the last step that we have to do, guys, is actually map it to the front end. And I guess it already did it for us. Like, that's crazy. If we click on this, what happens? Okay, that's wild. So it's already mapping the finished video to the front end. It's just not able to be played yet. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna send in another prompt to finish out the end-to-end flow. We're gonna say, okay, that worked well. Thanks for removing the columns. The viral agent workflow is now done. The first video has been produced and uploaded to the database. Now I want you to map that to the Veo3 front-end dashboard so the client can review the generated videos to be uploaded. We're gonna send that in. And so once again, while that's happening on the left-hand side, guys, we can go and finalize everything that we have on the workflow. And so we're gonna save it. We're then on the bottom left-hand side gonna decide how often we actually want to be creating content. And so we could have this every day, we could have this twice a day, 4 times a day, totally up to you. And so in this workflow, guys, we would be testing this just once a day because this does cost you $4 and you don't really need to spend that much time testing this. The main important thing is your prompting. And so you can really sit on the results of your previous video in 24 hours. You can look back, see how your video performed and go from there. And so in our use case, that's exactly what we're doing. So we're just gonna set this to create a video at a set time every single day and store it in the database. So that's gonna be 3:45 p.m. And the beautiful thing about Make, guys, you can give this tool to an AI agent so it can have this entire workflow in another automation as well. And so there's tons of nuance in that, but we're gonna head back to Replit, guys, and we're gonna wait until this update has been done to see if this video is actually viewable. Once the video is viewable, guys, I'm gonna finish this video off by explaining how I'm using this to sell for myself and also how you can use this to sell to other people and how you should be doing this ASAP. So guys, while Replit's working on that, what I would be doing is building a portfolio of these viral videos that actually go and get uploaded to these platforms so that when you get on these sales calls, you can actually show the end videos and how they performed on social platforms. And then we can start talking about how you would create this workflow for their business. And so let's talk about 3 examples. Let's talk about e-commerce, let's talk about services, and then let's talk about like coaching offers. So for the first one, right, e-commerce, you can have a storyline of a product in every single video. So if it's like Bigfoot and the product is like AG1, which is like a health product to help people like slim down and improve their gut health, and you make a viral video of a Bigfoot that is super slim because he was drinking this AG1 drink, you can then run 1,000 different creatives of that example for AG1 and build that on a whole nother platform for them to see if these videos go viral and produce sales for them. Then you would sell that for a month, and if they're happy with the results, you can then sell them the monthly recurring charge for you to continue to do that. The way that will improve is then you're gonna spend the first month, for example, building out those video prompts to then be uploaded. You'll then see the analytics of the results, and that'll help you improve the prompts for their business over time. And that storyline or that TV channel, essentially, that is selling the AG1 product will get better and better over time, adding different characters, different storylines, etc. And so you can also use it for your own businesses, right? So if you're selling the agents, then you can create a workflow that talks about how powerful these agents are and uses different characters. So like we built a little alien example in the No Code Academy breakdown. And here, so if I show you the viral video generator and I show you this little alien, let's play this little video quick.
I have 3 AI agents that are selling on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter on my behalf, allowing me to play golf.
And so again, not a crazy good prompt, but that just shows you what is possible if you just iterate on it over time. Same thing with this Bigfoot giant here.
So I got 3 AI agents working for me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter, and that frees me up to eat polar bears all day.
Pretty wild, right? And so the next example of use cases is like services. So let's say it's like a local services of like a maid company or like a cleaning company. You could then create videos of like satisfied clients in like a joking way, explaining like how amazing their house is and nice and clean. Now, normal people wouldn't make videos this embarrassing and this cringe. And so like you making that with these AI video models would again be another use case. You then put that for a whole month worth of content. You post that on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. You then have a call to action to send you a message. And then that message is also handled by another Facebook agent that we have to then close them, book in the appointment, and actually generate the sale. And so like coaching offers, right? It could just explain or basically dive into the pain points of the people that would be interested in that coaching offer. And so like for my example, it would be people that are interested to learn no code at lightning speed. Well, then you would want to get a coach to actually help you implement these AI agents, learn how the no code system works, build with Replit and launch apps and launch agents. And so like then the videos that I would be producing for that offer would be very different, and it would talk about how much smarter the people that I helped, or how much more money they were able to generate, or how many more sales, or how many more leads, or whatever use case we were able to do to help our clients. Like for example, Alex that just joined the academy, he's an unbelievable coder and doesn't really know how to sell. And so like when he joined the academy, we were able to help him just go directly into sales mode and close. He literally just closed a $12,000 iOS app build. And so for his use case, right, we would build so many different workflows that create those leads. And so he doesn't have to worry about getting in front of the camera and being a salesman, because that's just not, who he is. And so there's so many ways you can help people with this. And it's honestly, like I said, very shocking, and it's changing marketing, and you guys know that. But now with the API, we can profit off of this insane marketing shift in the world. So right now, like it says ready to play, for example, and like it's just not working, right? So if I click this and if I just screenshot it and I send the screenshot to the agent and I just say like, okay, cool, I see the click to play button, but it is not playing. So just handled that last update so I can show you guys that the videos are ready to be shown. And so like now, if the client is using this app, the only thing that they do is sign into this site and just check out the videos that they want. And you can add in like auto uploading APIs, like Instagram's auto uploading APIs, like I showed you guys in this automation. So it doesn't even have to be an automation. It could just be built right into the app that you give them. And so there's a bunch of ways that you can choose to do this. You can choose for it to be automatically uploaded. You can choose for them to choose to upload it. And you can choose for them to click a button on this site and it uploads it everywhere. And that's what we did with our build, right? So in this example, they can view it. And once they approve it, they can just click upload to all social platforms. It'll then upload everywhere. And then after 24, 48 hours, we do an API call to check the analytics. That's how we expand on these ideas, and this is how we're able to sell these things for very high ticket. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, because this is literally changing marketing, and not many people know that the API actually exists. So if you can hit the ground running with this, you're gonna absolutely crush it. And one little cherry on top here, you're gonna get the automations obviously, but you're also gonna get the code base of this no code agent stack. So you get everything that's included in this agent build. You get the LinkedIn agent, Instagram agent, Facebook agent, and now you're also gonna get the viral video generator. And so if you wanna build faster, I would recommend joining the No Code Academy. But yeah, guys, that is the ultimate AI agent viral video build. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you in the next one.